For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Thabi Madiba. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss after the motion of no confidence. Welcome, Professor. You made no predictions for the vote of no confidence. What do you see as the significance of the vote?
Yeah, you know, it's first of all, I didn't expect there to be a secret ballot, and I didn't know what to predict. And it seems that as many as 35 people may have disobeyed the instructions of the ANC caucus and either abstained or voted with the opposition. And this is unprecedented. And if you look at the number who actually supported, voted against the motion, it's less than half of the membership of the National Assembly. So 200 members, they're not all present, but only 198 said they support the president. And I think this has weakened his position a lot, and it has given the momentum to the opposition, because on the one hand, there's a public demonstration that the president does not enjoy the support of very many people in the ANC, and we know that some of those who voted, or many of those who voted in favor of him staying, are worried about their positions. They're not sure whether they will retain their positions if the president falls. So there was a lot of uncertainty and insecurity attached to the vote of someone who may not have had conviction. I don't think there's a lot of conviction. I don't think there's a lot of strong views about what's right and what's wrong, things like that. However, there is a sense that the 2016 local government elections setbacks that the ANC experienced were related to the scandals that were attached to the president. And I think many people are asking themselves, what will be best for me in terms of the ANC fighting the 2019 elections? Will it be best if Zuma goes now, or will it be best if there's a transition? Now, the problem, however, is that unless he is removed in some vote of no confidence before December, even if that happens, there's going to be a very messy process unfolding for the ANC in the months that lie ahead. Whoever becomes president of the ANC at the end of the year is going to inherit a divided organization. Not divided ideologically, in the sense that it's not really about who believes in white monopoly capital and who believes in radical economic transformation. It's really who sees their interests best looked after by Zuma or by someone else. And these ties are also related, in some cases, to people having done some scandalous things, and that it's possible that if they break ranks, that these things will be exposed. Zuma has got an intelligence background, and the way people from intelligence work is that they know something about you, and that if you do something, it's possible that they will tell this about you. So although he's got lots of skeletons, they're no longer in the cupboard in many cases, but there are others who've got skeletons which could be revealed. On the side of the opposition, this is, in an immediate sense, a victory for them, and it's quite possible that this may be a prelude to them winning elections in 2019. You see, the ANC may, at the end of the year, see Cyril Ramaphosa become president and not Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. But if that happens, Zuma is still president of the country. Now, some people say that that will be the time when the ANC will be ready to remove Zuma. But that doesn't mean that Zuma himself will just go quietly. Zuma is not a gentleman like Thabo Mbeki, and he just may not leave. And he may just ignore what the ANC says and say, I am representing the country as a whole. And it can create a further crisis. But all of that makes it better for the opposition in terms of elections in 2019. And it's possible that a DA-led coalition can become government in 2019. Now, running the country in some sort of coalition or alliance of forces will be much more difficult than running municipalities. And we've seen already that there are problems in Nelson Mandela Bay and to some extent in other areas, so that it will be difficult for them. And we also have seen that the ANC has not prepared itself for being an opposition. It has sometimes engaged in violence in the chamber, a number of other things. Also, someone was writing yesterday that what is interesting about the parties in coalition with the DA, like the EFF, they are not fulfilling the conventional role of parties in an alliance where you make an input into policy. They're letting the DA make the decisions themselves. There's some conflict, say, in Nelson Mandela Bay. It's not clear whether it's over policies or not, but you've not got coalitions, partners meeting regularly, discussing what to do. As far as we know, in Johannesburg, DA is running it. You don't hear much about the others. So you've got that problem, but there's another factor that could make it difficult for the DA. It may well be that the ANC gets the highest number of votes, that it's unlikely to get under 45% in my opinion, and that may make it mean that even if there are ideological differences between them and other parties, that they need less votes to form a government. So it can't be excluded that the ANC will form a government in the future. But what has happened after this motion of no confidence is that the legitimacy of the ANC is really close to zero. The fact that they voted to retain the president, who is in the middle of a whole lot of scandals, which are much worse than ordinary corruption, makes the days of Shabir Sheikh, even the 783 charges, seem relatively minor compared with what is happening with state capture. And they voted to keep this man, and I think it's seen in the fall of the rand, it's seen in the general contraction of the economy, which we as citizens can see in going to buy our weekly shopping or whatever it is, that things are costing much more and people have less money to get it, unemployment rises. So by voting the way they did, they've actually worsened the crisis. I'm not saying it would have been simple if they had removed Zuma, also would have been messy, but the ANC itself is no longer enjoying anything like the legitimacy that it had some time ago.
Where to from here?
My feeling is that it's important for us as citizens to look beyond electoral politics. We must vote, but we must also build the organizations. There's been a massive outpouring of anger amongst the citizens. Now that seems to just dispel with the marches. They don't come together again for another 2 months. That needs to be organized. There's a difference between mobilization, getting people to a place, and keeping them organized on an ongoing basis. We've got to try to do that, and it's got to extend widely. It's not just the poor who are suffering. It's also middle classes and the wealthy who are unhappy with the situation. We have to find a way of uniting them while recognizing that they don't have exactly the same interests at all, but they do have commonalities. We need to build on those commonalities.
Thank you, Professor. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the motion of no confidence.